What if everything you believe about God is about to be challenged? Not denied, not confirmed, but deeply questioned. For thousands of years, this question has followed humanity like a shadow. Is there something beyond what we can see? Is this life all there is, or are we part of a greater design? Some find comfort in belief, others in the absence of it. But most of us, we live somewhere in between, haunted by doubt, drawn to wonder. This isn't a debate. It's a journey, a slow unraveling of what we think we know. Today, we don't offer answers. We offer the silence behind the question and the courage to listen. The question of God isn't new. It's older than language, older than temples, older than philosophy itself. Every culture has faced it, through myths, rituals, wars, and whispered prayers. It's a question that refuses to go away because it touches everything. Our origin, our purpose, our end. Some say the universe itself is evidence, finely tuned, improbably ordered, too precise to be an accident. Others look at that same universe and see chaos, randomness, and silence. For some, belief in God is as natural as breathing. For others, it's a story we tell to comfort ourselves in the dark. This isn't just a question for theologians. It shapes how we treat each other, how we suffer, how we hope. Even those who claim not to care are shaped by the culture built on answers to this question. And into this ancient conversation steps a new voice, Joe Schmid. He's not a preacher. He's not a scientist in a lab coat. He's a philosopher, a young thinker with a mind sharpened by logic and a heart open to uncertainty. He doesn't claim to prove anything. He invites us to reason, to look closely, think clearly, and ask honestly. Because maybe belief isn't about certainty. Maybe the real value of this question lies in how we ask it, not to win a debate, but to understand the weight of not knowing. To ask whether God exists is to walk a line between wonder and doubt. It's not a question of preference or opinion. It's a question about reality itself. And reality, as we know, doesn't always bend to what we want to believe. The challenge is simple to state, but almost impossible to resolve. How can you prove or disprove the existence of something beyond time, space, and matter? We live in a world built on evidence, on what can be measured, tested, repeated. Yet belief in God often asks us to trust what can't be touched. It offers meaning, purpose, and hope, but without the kind of proof we demand from science, logic, or law. Philosophers have tried for centuries. Some built arguments from design, claiming that the complexity of the universe points to a designer. Others challenge those views with the presence of suffering, randomness, and contradiction. For every argument that God must exist, there's a counterclaim that the universe works just fine, or just tragically on its own. And for most people, the question isn't abstract at all. It's personal. Some believe because they've felt something. Peace in prayer, presence in silence, a moment too powerful to explain. Others disbelieve because they've seen too much pain, too much silence, too much absence where there should have been mercy. What makes this question so difficult isn't that there are no answers. It's that the answers depend on what kind of evidence you trust. Do you trust logic alone? Do you trust what your heart feels when no one is watching? Or do you live between those two, pulled by both, committed to neither? Joe Schmid doesn't dismiss the complexity. He embraces it. He doesn't claim certainty, only clarity. And that's what makes his approach so powerful. He reframes the question. Instead of asking, "Does God exist?" he asks, "Given what we know, how likely is it?" And that change, just that one change, shifts the ground beneath us. To explore the question of God through reason, we must look at the arguments, each one a doorway into a different way of seeing the world. One of the oldest is the cosmological argument, the idea that everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began, so it too must have a cause. For many, that cause is God. But critics ask, if everything needs a cause, why doesn't God? The answer given is that God is necessary, outside of time, uncaused, eternal. But then the question becomes whether that's a description of something real, or a carefully built concept to patch a hole in our understanding. Then there's the fine-tuning argument. The universe seems precisely calibrated for life. If gravity were slightly weaker or stronger, we wouldn't be here. The odds are unimaginably small, so small some say the universe must have been designed. But others argue we may be just one of countless universes, each with its own settings. We happen to be in the one that supports life, because otherwise, we wouldn't be here to notice. That's the anthropic principle, the idea that our presence skews our perspective. Still, the numbers are eerie. The constants, the balance, the order. Do they whisper design? Or are we just drawing patterns in the static, desperate for meaning? Next comes the problem of evil. If God exists and is all good, all-knowing, and all-powerful, why is there suffering? Why do children starve, wars rage, and diseases take the innocent? Theists respond with ideas like free will, soul-making, or the mysterious nature of divine plans. But to many, these feel like answers that explain too little or excuse too much. Joe Schmid approaches this tension with precision. He doesn't rush to label anything true or false. Instead, he applies Bayesian reasoning, a method of weighing evidence, not in black and white, but in degrees. He looks at all the data, the elegance of nature, the cruelty in history, the depth of consciousness. And he asks, given all of this, what's the probability that a God exists? It's not a satisfying answer for everyone. Some want a yes or a no. But Joe offers something else: intellectual honesty. He shows that belief, or disbelief, can be more than emotional reflex. It can be a conclusion reached through careful thought, a balance between possibility and doubt. Then there's the realm of personal experience, the moment of awe under the stars, the comfort in prayer, the feeling of being guided. For some, this is the strongest evidence of all, but subjective experience is difficult to measure and even harder to verify. People experience visions, miracles, or divine presence, but so do followers of every religion, often with conflicting beliefs. Are these moments glimpses of something real, or the mind seeking patterns in chaos? Joe doesn't dismiss experience, he respects it, but he asks us to place it within a broader frame, alongside logic, science, and the complexity of human psychology. He reminds us that meaning and truth aren't always the same. Something can feel true and still be a story we tell ourselves, but that doesn't make it worthless. It makes it human. In the end, exploring God isn't like solving a puzzle. It's more like mapping a coastline in the fog. You can trace parts of it. You can sense the shape. But the full picture always lies just beyond reach. What Joe Schmid gives us isn't certainty. It's a model, a way to think that respects the question more than it demands an answer. And in that, perhaps, there is something sacred. Not in proving God, but in searching well. At the center of this debate lies a deeper truth, that the question, does God exist, may never have been about proof at all. Maybe it was always about the search, because what we seek shapes who we become. Joe Schmid reminds us of something many overlook, that belief isn't just a conclusion, it's a lens. And the lens you look through colors everything you see. Two people can stare at the same sunset, hear the same argument, feel the same silence, and walk away with opposite truths. The key insight isn't which side is right. It's realizing that both belief and doubt require humility. Belief requires admitting you don't know everything, and trusting something beyond reason. Doubt requires admitting the limits of your mind, and resisting the urge to fill silence with certainty. So the question evolves. From, is God real? To, what does it mean to live well under uncertainty? To ask whether God exists is also to ask, what kind of life do I want to live in a world where I may never know for sure? And that question is the one worth staying with. So where does that leave us? We've walked through arguments ancient and new, the logic of causes, the fine-tuning of the cosmos, the ache of suffering, and the stories we carry in our bones. Each perspective reveals a different layer. Each one challenges the other. Some will hear these ideas and feel their faith deepen. Others may find more reason to doubt, but maybe that's not the point. Joe Schmid doesn't ask us to choose a side. He asks us to think clearly, patiently, and honestly. To hold our beliefs, not with clenched fists, but with open hands. To ask better questions, not louder ones. Because whether God exists or not, the asking changes us. It humbles us. It reminds us that reality is vast, that truth is layered, and that certainty is a luxury very few are given. In that sense, the journey toward the question matters just as much as the answer, maybe even more. And if you've watched this far, it means the question lives in you too, not as a problem to solve, but as a path to walk. If this question stirred something in you, leave a comment. Are you a believer, a skeptic, still undecided? What's the argument or experience that shaped your view? We read every response, and this space was made for voices like yours. If you want to keep thinking deeply about life, belief, and meaning, check out our next video. The Illusion of Free Will, Nietzsche's Warning. And if this journey moved you even a little, subscribe to Intuitra. We ask the questions most people are afraid to face, and we do it together.